What's up, everyone? My name is Ivan Albrook, and today we're going to go through what I think is going to be the meta share in Vancouver this weekend for the Vancouver Regional Championships. So, I believe this is one of the final major tournaments before rotation. I might be wrong about that. Don't pillage me in the comments if I'm wrong, but honestly, I like doing these little meta predictions and forecasts and stuff like that before these tournaments. It's really cool to see the evolution of each format and just the diversity of it also. As you can see, I put a whole bunch of decks here because I feel like a lot of people are going to try to play some decks that maybe haven't worked before. Maybe they're experimenting with it, and also some cards are going to rotate out of the format in about a month's time. So I figured, why not? Let's make this list and see how it goes. So let's start with let's start with Lugia. I mean, Lugia is one of those top decks for sure. I feel like we might see a lot more Guardy or Dragapult. We've seen Dragapult be the top deck for the last few tournaments, but I also feel like we could also see a deck like Lugia come up more, since the play of Miraidon's gone down just a little bit and the play of Dragapult's gone up. So Lugia, I think, is probably like a good pick for this tournament. Also afterwards, when we tier everything out, we're going to go through the meta shares and stuff like that. So Lugia, I think I'm just going to throw an A for now. I might change it later. Let's just talk about Dragapult. We have Dragapult and Dragapult Dusknoir. Let's just talk about Dragapult Dusknoir. It's probably going to be a good pick for the weekend. It's got a good matchup into everything, pretty much. And I'm also going to just throw... I honestly don't know how I feel about the Dusknoir less version, but I'm just going to throw it right there. Just consider those like the same thing, honestly. Yeah, so Dragapult and Dragapult Dusknoir, I feel like, are just top decks. The list without Dusknoir won seniors and also top aided the Masters division at EUIC. So I feel like, a lot of people are going to experiment with that and maybe like change a couple cards if they think it's necessary. Dragapult's going to be a good pick. It's a good deck, so I think it's probably, it might be the only S tier deck in this video. I feel like we should just talk about Guardy. It's probably next up. Guardy has a weird matchup into Goldengo, which has seen a lot more play. And I feel like a lot of people are going to play it. It's going to be one of the higher percentage decks. But I feel like Guardy is overall a good pick. You have a decent Pult matchup. You have a decent Lugia matchup. Decent Miraidon matchup. I feel like Goldengo, you struggle a little bit, but you kind of just have to rely on your hand disruption. And yeah, I feel like Guardy is also another solid pick, kind of same thing as Lugia. Guardy's always been solid, and honestly, a lot of people are going to want to play it before the Refinement Curlias rotate. So, Guardy, one of the top picks in my opinion. Let's talk about Archaludon. So this deck is interesting in my opinion. It has good and horrible matchups. I won't say it has bad matchups. I feel like the bad matchups are actually just horrible. Decks like Guardy, I feel like kind of just, I don't know, they kind of just mow you over kind of thing. I mean, Archaludon is 300 HP, which, if they Drifloon twice, you're kind of screwed. You have your lines into it, and whether or not it includes Dialga or not, Archaludon, I feel like is a B tier deck for this tournament. You have a bad Dango matchup. Your Pult matchup is kind of shaky. You just have to hit your Turos and your Scoop Up Cyclone. But Archaludon, yeah, it's a weird deck right now in my opinion. I'm just gonna throw it in B tier for now. If I change my mind, I might bump it up or bump it down. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about Dragapult Charizard. This deck is also really interesting. I'm just gonna throw in B tier. Not a ton of people are gonna be playing this variant of Dragapult, so I feel like B tier is probably where it belongs. I feel like it's not like a super impactful deck in my opinion. Like it did well at EUIC. I think it top 16 if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I feel like it's a solid deck. I can't see it winning the event personally, but hey, you never know. Let's talk about regular Charizard. I just feel like just with Badoo existing and, you know, you have your Pulse and your Gardevoirs doing really well, the decks that actually play Badoo, Charizard kind of just struggles into that. And honestly, I'm just going to throw Regidrago alongside it. It's just not good for those decks, in my opinion. You could tech around it by playing Evo, and if you play Drago, you could play things like Poppy and other things. But honestly, like the deck doesn't. They don't look good on paper personally, and I've tried a few games with both of them, and it's just not great, in my opinion. So yeah, those are probably two C tier decks. Okay, let's talk about Goldango. This is probably like gonna be one of the hotter decks going into this tournament. Goldango it's a solid deck overall. You have positive matchups into a lot of things. Is it gonna win the tournament? I don't think so. I think if you hit a Guardy player that plays a lot of hand disruption, or a Pult that plays hand disruption, it's very hard for Goldango to beat hand disruptive decks, in my opinion, because if you knock out a Goldango, you have a Goldango, you have your Fez, you have your Ninja, but like, you know, it's just hard to navigate sometimes as Dango, at least from my experience. So I feel like Goldango is like, it's probably like a top B tier deck. I can't see it winning the tournament. I could see maybe 2 or 3 in like top 32, top 16 kind of thing. Maybe 1 in top 8, but I honestly can't see the deck winning. And I think Dragapult is a shaky matchup, especially if they play Dusknoirs. So I think Goldango is kind of like, you know, at the mercy of Dragapult, really. Like if you hit a lot of Dragapults, you probably won't do as well as you want. It has a decent Guardy matchup, decent Lugia matchup, because 260 is really awkward for a lot of decks to hit. Miraidon, I'm gonna throw, I want to say with Guardy and Lugia being A tier, Miraidon could also be A tier. Like it'll probably be like the bottom of A tier, because Miraidon has a solid matchup into Lugia, Guardy, and Dragapult. It has its ways to win, you know, via Iron Hands or Raikou, anything like that. Yeah, so Miraidon I think is solid. I can't see that deck winning the event. I could see Dragapult winning the event, or Guardy. Those are probably my top 2 picks to win this time. And yeah, so Miraidon is solid, A tier. You have a weird Dango matchup. Your Archaludon matchup is very hard. Same with Charizard, like any Pulsar, Charizard, anything. Those are like really, really hard for Miraidon. But you're expecting to see more of these S tier decks and A tier decks, right? So yeah, Miraidon is it's solid. It's been solid for the last little bit. And that's why I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A tier. I don't think it's gonna win the event. It could win the event. Like any of these decks can win the event. We'll see. Let's talk about Snorlax. This might be like the last tournament you can play Snorlax in terms of major tournaments. Like I said, I don't know if there's another one afterwards. I didn't really look. But with all the Goldangos playing like the LAIC build and stuff like that, Dragapult has a decent matchup into Snorlax. Lugia's got a good matchup into Snorlax. Guardy has an okay matchup into Snorlax. I'm gonna throw Lax in B tier just for this tournament. I don't think it's a horrible pick. You can definitely you can obviously catch people off guard with it, right? But I can't see the deck winning the event. And obviously it's not going to see a ton of play compared to other decks. Just because obviously you have to have a certain play style to play that deck. So yeah, Snorlax probably like middle of B tier. I'd say Archaludon's probably better into that deck. So I'll just keep that there. Let's talk about Lost Box. So another deck that is going to rotate is Lost Box. This deck is kind of like a sleeper pick in my opinion. I'm going to throw it in A tier above Miraidon. You know, Pikachu knocks out Goldangos. You can recycle the Pikachu. They can't one-shot the Pikachu. You have a good matchup into mostly these decks in like the A and B tier, in my opinion. Dragapult is a weird one, in my opinion. It's close at points, but you just have to hit your Pikachus. You gotta make sure that you're, you know, Sableyeing as much as you can against Pult so you can one-shot them with Pikachus and stuff. Yeah, and I think Lost Box is going to see a good chunk of play, like maybe like a 5 or 6% deck this time. Yeah, let's talk about Cloth. Cloth won LAIC, or not LAIC, EUIC, my mistake. And although it won because of donks, I can't see the deck being more than like 5% this time around. It's probably pretty decent. I think it's going to be like a B tier deck. You have a decent Dango matchup. You have like a decent ult matchup if you can, you know, take early knocks and stuff like that. It's not bad at all. I think Cloth is probably B tier for this tournament. So yeah, probably B tier. I'm gonna throw it at the top of B tier over Dango, actually. Yeah, keep Cloth at top of B. Raging Bolt. I mean, this deck is just, it's solid. You know, it does what it needs to do. It can win. You know, Raging Bolt is like, it's Raging Bolt, right? I don't think I'm gonna put this deck any higher than B tier. I think it's just solid. You know, it wins its games. It loses to Hand Disruption and it loses to control decks. You just got to be careful with that. It can definitely lose to Dragapult, in my opinion. They stick you with like an Iono or an Unfair Stamp, depending on the build. That could just screw you over the entire game. One Hand Disruptive card, change the entire game for Bolt. So Bolt in B tier is at best, like probably bottom of B tier. Let's talk about these random decks. So let's talk about Shen Pao. As long as Badu exists, I feel like this deck is like very, very lackluster. Like it's not good. I think Raging Bolt is just a better version of it. So I'm gonna throw Shen Pao in D. Ancient with Dragapult being really good. It's not good for Ancient. And it has okay matchups into Guardy. Lugia, you kind of struggle. Lost Box is like tricky. Miraidon, you're positive into, but I think Ancient will probably be like a C tier deck at best. Probably reorder it like that. Same as Ceruledge, I'll just throw it in C tier. It's not incredible. Like you have a good Dango matchup. You have an okay Lugia matchup. Your Miraidon matchup is pretty miserable if you're playing the Palkia. I feel like Ceruledge it's just not the right time for the deck. I just think C tier is where it belongs. Pidgeot Control, we'll just throw in B tier. I mean, this deck surprises everybody, so I'm just gonna keep it in B tier. I can't say it's A tier. I can't see it's like lower than B tier. I'm just gonna keep it in B tier. Gouging Fire, with Goldango being popular, could be good, but I feel like you can kind of struggle into Dragapult, and I feel like your other matchups are just kind of shaky. I'll just throw Gouging and see. Thorns, as long as Dragapult's good, I think Thorns is bad. So Thorns in D tier. So this is my opinion of what it could look like in terms of decks that could win. I think Dragapult has the best shot. It's a very strong deck. Guardy probably next best, honestly. Guardy is always good, and play against a good Guardy player, you're probably going to lose. So, Guardian A tier makes the most sense. So let's just go through the percentages here. I'm trying to think about how many people are going to be at Vancouver. I want to say just over 1,000, maybe 1,100. I really don't know. Because Vancouver has been very small in terms of attendance. It's not a very big convention hall for it. So these percentages aren't gonna be quite the same as other tournaments. I'm gonna throw Dragapult at probably, I'm gonna say like 16%. Actually, we're just gonna take out this Dragapult. Actually, we'll just leave it here. We're not gonna give it a percentage. We're just gonna put Dragapult period at 16%. Guardy will probably be like a 10% deck. Let's see here. Goldengo, I could see more people playing Goldengo. We'll say like 11% for Goldengo. Rhydon probably like 9%. Lugia probably, I'm gonna say 7%. Pultzard, we'll probably include Pultzard with the Pults as well. Snorlax, let's just say it's a 2%er. Raging Bolt will be like a 6. Pidgeot Control, that's like maybe like 0.5%. Ancient Box, probably 2. Regidrago, let's say 2. Gouging Fire, 2. Ceruledge, probably. A lot of people are starting to play Ceruledge, as like a fun deck, so we'll throw that at like 3%. Shenpao, I can only see maybe like 1%. Same with Thorns. Archaludon, that's probably like a 7% deck as well. And Lost Box, I could see probably being, I can see Lost Box seeing a decent amount of play. We're gonna put that at like 6.5. We'll throw that there. 6.5% for Lost Box. Yeah. On Cloth, we gotta do Cloth. Cloth will probably be like 4%. So, I feel and Charizard. We gotta do Charizard. There's always gonna be a decent amount playing Charizard. Let's just say like 3%. Why not? I feel like this might be accurate. I feel like your Pult will be number 1. Goldengo is gonna be pretty popular since it had a good finish. Guardy also being up there, Miraidon being up there, Lugia also being up there, probably tied with Archaludon, and then like the best of the rest. Let's just make Ceruledge 2%. Actually, Charizard's got to be on the graphics somewhere. People are gonna play that deck for sure. And yeah, I feel like this might be somewhat accurate in terms of popularity. Dragapult at number 1, of course. Dango, Guardy, Miraidon, Lugia. I feel like those could be like the top 5 decks in terms of percentage in the tournament. And yeah, that's honestly it, guys. So, we'll see what happens. I like I said, I'm not entirely sure if this is the last major event before rotation in terms of North American events. But yeah, this could be it for a lot of decks that are going to rotate, like Lugia and Lost Box and such like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. And leave a comment down below on what you think is going to win the event, as well as what the highest percentage deck is going to be. So thank you guys so much for watching. I might do a recap video of Vancouver after the tournament and stuff like that. And we'll go from there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Peace out.